Welcome to Next Chapter Conversations with your host, Drew Cost. Every life has defining moments. Moments that challenge us, change us, and ultimately shape who we become. On this show, you'll hear honest conversations with people who've embraced change, overcome obstacles, and step boldly into their next chapter. Whether you're looking for hope, fresh perspective, or the courage to begin again, you're in the right place. This is Next Chapter Conversations.
Why do people start to decline when they hit 45 and up? The question I get asked all the time. I'll give you the answer and I'll break you down. It's because of their mindset, and that's it. All right, so let's get into this. I tell you a story about someone who I work with. They're over the age of 45, and they want to not be in a place where they feel they have to be sluggish, where they have to be sloppy, and where they don't feel good within their skin. Like, just because you start getting older doesn't mean you have to decline. Now, she at first thought, I need to live in the gym. I can't do that because I'm busy. I have kids. I have a husband. Number two, that I can never eat foods that I love. And then the third one, which is the one that stood out the most, I'm supposed to decline like this because of my age. Now, I've met people who are 60 who look great, people who are 60 who don't look great. I met people who are 70 who look awesome, and people who are 70 who look like they're 90. So where do we start to help this person? I told this person, I said, hey, can we work on one part of the equation? Let's put this part first, and then we'll let everything else follow. She said, yes. I said, this is going to be mindset. I said, your mindset is going to have to change to, I'm not trying to get in shape. I'm trying to avoid declining. It's a little different. Getting in shape means I have to give up everything. I have to become gym rat. I have to be the person I was when I was 20. That's very, very hard. But fighting off decline is a little bit different. I like to make people feel like decline is like a big, ugly supervillain. If we were talking Batman, he'd be Bane. If we were talking maybe Batman again, he could be the Joker, but it's a villain. And I said, if this is the thing that you're fighting off, how would you fight? And she went to the extreme at first. I would try to work out for 2 hours a day. I said, no, that's not going to be sustainable for you. So let's just find out what we can do. Let's change our mind to going, I'm fighting decline. I can do this every day or a couple times a week. I said, hey, can you get at least 10,000 steps a day? At first, she was hesitant, but I said, what about not thinking just 10,000 steps, but thinking every 2 hours I get up and I move, I watch my watch and I see what I can get for steps. I said, can you start by just having 2 to 3 cups of vegetables every day and 2 to 3 pieces of fruit every day? You can eat what you want for the rest of it. Right, we're going to work on that later. She said, I can do this. What I was really doing was showing her that if we tap into your mindset, how you think about this stuff, it's going to be easier to fight decline. So I said, we're gonna just work on those things. If you want to walk, if you want to lift weights, cool, but let's work on these things. Within 2 to 3 weeks, she wants to now lift weights. She wants to now do more walking because now she's approaching this journey completely different than she has before. I've trained people for 15 years, and I can tell you this. If you approach a journey that is going to be transformative, you have to approach it with mindset first. And then the other things can follow. You cannot, we used to hear this back in the day, you cannot outtrain a bad diet. You cannot outtrain a bad mindset. So the mindset shift that happens is, I'm not trying to get in shape. I'm fighting off decline. People usually move away from pain faster than they do towards gain. The last thing I told her to do, I said, hey, every Wednesday, we're going to just check in. I'll send you a form. You let me know how it's going. I'll send you a video back. We just keep that going. Where we want to be encouraging her, and we want to also hold her accountable. Hey, you said this is what you want. Here's the plan. let's walk together to do this. Now, I've done this before, and the beauty of all of this is it doesn't feel impossible. I've learned this with wellness. If it feels impossible, a person won't implement it. If it feels too much, the person will put it off to later. But if it's just enough, the person will realize, I could do that. Could I take a 30-minute walk every day? I can do that, even if it's inside the house. But if you start telling them, can you lift weights 5 times a week, then that's when they're going to say, it's not for me. I'm not going to do it. So we ran the 6-week challenge. And in the 6-week challenge, we gave them workouts they can do. We gave them goals that they could aim towards. And we gave them nutrition guidelines and stuff like that. The magic in all of this was we want you to do it together. I'm big on if you do it with a community, it's a lot easier to get to the goal. So we say, hey, we're going to do it together as a group, 6 weeks. We're going to check in. We're going to do the workouts. We're going to help each other out and see what happens. And I cannot tell you how it pulls on people to show up for other people quicker than themselves. And in a nutshell, you're still doing it for you, but you know, if I don't show up, they don't see me posting or something like that, they're going to feel that like I left, I'm missing out, or I'm just not with it. So in a nutshell, if you want to fight off declining, you have to think, how can I change my mindset? How can I get up here in the game first before I do something drastic? This is where we see things like 75 hard. I love 75 hard if you do it right. This is where I see people go towards 75 hard. They try to go too hard too fast, they quit. Then they turn it into like 40 days soft. Then that turns into nothing. Or they go, hey, I'm not eating any more carbs for 90 days. It sounds great. It sounds heroic. But then day 4, someone's going to bring in cookies and cake. What if we just simply change our mind and fighting off decline and ask the question before we make decisions? Is this going to help me fight off decline today? Maybe you'll eat the cookie. Maybe you'll eat the cake. But our mind needs to be in a place where I'm fighting something because something is trying to take me out. I told the lady who I was helping, if you don't do this, which you don't have to, you're going to go backwards. The decline villain is going to come, and he's going to slow you down. He's going to give you poor nutrition, poor sleep. He's probably going to bring on some headaches. He's probably going to bring on some maybe diseases. Probably going to be seeing the doctors a lot more. But most importantly, you won't be able to actively be great in the next chapter of your life. And we know once you're hitting 40 and up, like the goal is longevity. The goal isn't to see if I can be the cutest thing on the beach. The goal is, how can I keep walking? How can I keep standing? How can I keep building? How can I keep being there for my kids? And then if you're older, how can I be there for my grandkids? But most importantly, how can I keep showing up for me in the next chapter of my life? That's what it's about. It's not about abs. Abs are cool, but it's not about abs. I want you to put in a comment. What are you going to change with your mindset today to make you be better in the next chapter of your life? Let me know in the comments.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Next Chapter Conversations. If today's conversations inspired you, encouraged you, or helped you see your own story differently, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready for their next chapter. Until next time, remember, your story isn't over. The best chapters are still waiting to be written. We'll see you in the next conversation.